Welcome back to the Long Distance Work Life, where we help you lead, work, and thrive in remote and hybrid teams. I'm Marisa Eikenberry, a fellow remote worker, and joining me is remote work expert and my co-host, Wayne Trammell. Hi, Wayne.
Hello, Marisa. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Feeling my mortality.
Well, that should be great.
I generally think of myself as, open to the world, still open to new experiences. And there are days when I realize that I am a grumpy old cishet white guy who has been far more institutionalized in the traditional workplace than I thought I was.
And then you've got me. I'm an old soul. So
Well, yes, and you still walk around in that 32-year-old body interacting with 32-year-olds doing 32-year-old things.
Sure.
And the reason for this venting, dear listener, is we have been having conversations offline about some of the different meeting platforms out there. And I don't care if you use Zoom or Teams or WebEx or Joe's virtual meeting hut, whatever you use, I don't care. But there is a trend to more of a virtual reality video game style, and it makes me break out in a rash. And I have been told I am wrong.
I don't know that it's wrong necessarily.
I am firmly prepared to believe that it is generational, right? This is just one of those things. I don't play video games unless you count Frogger on a, bar
Frogger.
Tabletop.
I count
right?
Frogger.
But that was like the last cool game that I played. So Marisa has actually tested out a number of these platforms, and we're going to talk about what they bring to the table, what she likes, what she doesn't like, and she's going to try to convince me at least somewhat that the dark side is not completely dark. So we're going to talk about the gamification, the virtual reality kind of approach to some of these meetings, and are they going to make a difference in how we do our work? So, Marisa, why don't you start with what have you been up to?
Yeah, so we actually got an email from somebody about a program called SoWork. And I looked into it because, I think the tagline or the subject line was something about, start your work guild here or something. I'm like, that's gamer language. Like, I need to open up this email, right? So I was checking it out because basically that whole idea of SoWork is that it was built by gamers to have a virtual office and to be able to intermingle and all the good office stuff remotely. I'm a gamer myself, so I reached out to you and I was like, pick me, choose me. I volunteer as a tribute. Let me test this out.
Yeah, as opposed to me when I would rather poke a red hot iron in my eye than do this.
Right.
So bless your heart for doing it.
And with that too, like as I was, having this moment of, okay, I really want to test this out. It was also an instant, our team will not test this with me. I need to go find other people who will. And that's okay.
You need to go find your tribe, and do.
And that's okay. So I volunteer with the world's first online church for gamers. Yes, that is a phrase I just said. But anyway, I knew that these are people who they're online all the time. Gaming is their thing. Like they're more likely to test this with me. So I posted it in the media team that I volunteer with. And I was like, hey, I'm testing this out for work. You guys are under no obligation to check this out, but it would be really cool if you did. And they loved it. Absolutely.
Of course they did.
Loved it. At first, they were just testing out some stuff that I was, testing in a test server. How many times can I say test in 30 seconds?
First of all, my first thought is, of course they loved it. These are people who can't be bothered to get out of their pajamas to go worship.
That's a whole different discussion. So anyway, we are meeting the people where they are. But that is a different discussion. But, and the people that I was testing with, they're people that we were on a team together. We're volunteering together. We work together all the time. So I started testing it with them. The director of media team was like, this is awesome, shared it with staff. And now the church created a server. We're still testing out how it works, but it's pretty much staff and media team. And we've had a blast with it. It's been incredible.
Okay, now for those of you watching, Marisa will have screenshots and things. The rest of you just have to play along. Use Radio of the Mind. Right?
Or check out the YouTube video later.
Or check out the video, and we will have links to all of the stuff in the show notes. So, okay, so you're creating a guild, you're doing a meeting. What does that start with? What it looks like, and then talk to me about the impact and how it actually works.
Yeah, so they have a couple different maps, I guess you could say, to start out with, but we actually created one from scratch. But it looks like an office building, and it's very top down kind of look. And so you can, make a room over here, and this is the kitchen, and this is your office, and these are cubicles over here, and this is a meeting space and a co-working space, and you can kind of make whatever you want. But it does look a lot like an office if you had no ceiling on it, basically, right. And you're looking. Right. And everybody has a little avatar that you can customize, hair, outfit, whatever, change it as much as you want to. And you walk around.
Yeah, I avatars freak me out in general. I'm not sure I'm ready to have a performance evaluation with an orc.
Thankfully, they are not like that. Okay. All of them are human. I mean, you can, change your hair color to be something, different or whatever. You can have different types of costumes, and some of those are premium features. And so we were just on a free server. But I mean, you can, throw a guitar on your back, I think they have like swords that you can. So you can get a little goofy with that. But no orcs this time.
Okay. So at least we're talking human to human contact.
Well, but it's interesting that you say that, though, because from my understanding, the people who created this, part of the whole thing was that they had a team. I think they were at Harvard creating like a business, and 2020 happened. So suddenly their team became remote, and they couldn't figure out how to get this culture piece and this connection piece to happen. And they were like, okay, we play World of Warcraft. We know that this is possible to do online. And that piece is something I've been saying on LinkedIn for a long time for people who follow me there. But, gamers know how to connect online with people that they've never met. And so they were trying to figure out how do we bring that into the remote workspace, and thus SoWork was born. I'm pretty sure that it launched the public last year. So there's still a lot of beta stuff that's happening. There's still some glitchy stuff that's happening occasionally too. And they're changing stuff all the time. Even in the month that I've been testing it, they've had so many different updates.
This is voice to voice. So when you and I are having a meeting, our avatars are sitting in chairs, but we're talking.
Yes. And you can have cameras up. So you still can have a webcam up and be talking, and you can actually click a button and not see any of the office space if you didn't want to. If you just really wanted to focus on the meeting, and then it would look like it looks like right now to us, you can do that. But yes, you're correct. You go sit in chairs in the meeting room, or they have proximity chat. So people can actually walk by your office, and as long as they're close to you and you don't have your do not disturb on, it'll automatically connect and start a conversation.
Now, that's interesting to me, because one of the big complaints about remote work or hybrid work is, and I just had a flash on how this applies to hybrid work, but you don't have the incidental somebody's walking by your desk and your brain goes, oh, I need to talk to them. What you're telling me is this is running in the background all the time, and you get some form of alert that says Marisa is walking past your office, or Marisa is around, and you go, do I need to talk to Marisa? No, I can continue to ignore her. Or,
yeah,
right?
So there's a couple different ways that it can happen. So I have it minimized right now. I'm in do not disturb mode because obviously we're podcasting. But if somebody walked by my desk and got close enough to me to actually trigger that proximity chat, I actually get a window that pops up in front of me that says, somebody, whoever their name is connecting to you. And so that way I know to go back into that platform, and I can actually, see what's going on. But it is a very automatic connection.
But where I had the flash about hybrid work is the big thing is we're out of sight, out of mind of
Right.
each other, right? Like if I'm in the office today and you're not, I look around and I'm generally talking to the people. And if I have a question, I go to the people in the office and go, hey, before I start typing and chatting and
Yeah.
seeing if Marissa's around. Theoretically, if this is running in the background while a team's working, you can still get the proximity notices and you can still see that so-and-so is working and available, even if they're not in your physical space.
Right.
That is kind of intriguing, I guess.
Yeah, because since you can see the whole office at once, so they have like a what's happening menu basically, so you can see who's all online. If they have a status up, you can see what that status is. There is a chat feature, so right now it's kind of like Slack. They're about to update it. I haven't seen what the update looks like yet. I'm very excited to see that. So you can send like, a message notification or something if you needed to that way, but you can see who's all online. And if you zoom out, you can actually see where they are in the map. So you could just like go over to them if you needed to get a hold of them for something.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I get how that can work. And by the way, we're talking specifically about SoWork. There are a number of other similar platforms out there, Remo and some others, so we're not advocating for one versus the other, but we will have links to a couple of these things so that if you're listening to this and you're intrigued, you can certainly check it out. So why does this whole idea creep me out?
Well, that might be a whole separate discussion.
Well, no, it's a very simple discussion, which is as a 62-year-old man, even one who is reasonably technology savvy, I don't interact a lot. I mean, Alexa sits beside us in the TV room, and the main function that Alexa serves for us is, Alexa, how tall is Tom Cruise? And we get the answer, and I say, thank you, Alexa. And that's the end of that, right? Whereas
meanwhile,
there are
I
people
have
who
a
run
smart
their entire
house.
homes and lives.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And, the movie Demon Seed came out in 1975, and people with smart houses should see it before you get smug, is all I'm saying. And I was young enough to see it and be scarred by it.
Well, my mom was 4, so.
And this will be Marissa's last episode.
So much my last episode. You don't know what my name is anymore.
But all of this silliness and there is an element of fun to this, which is part of the point, right? Is to add some fun and lessen the formality for all of this. But for people of a certain age, our relationship with technology and our willingness to interact using technology, to me, I can get on Zoom and I can talk to you and I can see you and I can talk to you. If I need to push 3 buttons to get your avatar to show up and I'm still not talking to you, that seems like more work than the benefit is worth.
It's actually pretty easy. I mean, I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, this is for everybody.
No. I know you're not selling for anybody, but
because
but you
frankly,
are trying to talk the old man off the ledge.
Yeah, because I don't think that this is good for every team. I really don't. I do think there's a certain level of some of it's generational, some of it's just what you interact with normally. If you're somebody who's a little bit more perpetually online, you're probably going to enjoy this a little bit more, like that kind of thing. For the most part, getting on a video call or an audio call with this platform, it's really easy. Not only can you just walk up to somebody and it starts something instantly, but you could also, let's say I scheduled a meeting with you and I'm like, oh, Wayne, we're going to have a meeting at 1 p.m. We'll meet in the meeting room. All you have to do is walk your avatar over into the meeting room. And the second you cross the threshold into that room, it automatically starts a meeting. You have to click nothing.
It's so funny because I am listening to you and my brain is processing the information, and the idea of the proximity alert, right? Oh, Marissa's walking by my desk. I'm thinking that's really intrusive and annoying. But then I think about being in the office and having Marisa walk by my desk,
Yeah.
and I go, that's really intrusive and annoying.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be pretty close for that to trigger.
Right.
Because I know that when
they have to want to be there.
Yeah, because like we were the media team, like we were trying to figure out our desks and stuff, and like you can add a bunch of furniture and you can add your computer, and they have like gamer looking computers in there. And so as we were putting those in, I know I tested with a friend of mine that's also in that team to be like, hey, you sit down and I'm going to sit down and make sure that we don't trigger the proximity chat. Otherwise, we may have to change where our computers sit. And thankfully, it worked out just fine. But yeah, you have to be pretty close for that to trigger. So it's not quite just, oh, they walked right by your door. It's they're in your office.
Yeah, they're in your space intentionally.
Correct.
Well, this is fascinating. And for those of you who are listening, I imagine some of you are horrified and appalled. And if so, your AARP card is in the mail.
Can I mention one thing before we start to wrap up, though, that I think was really cool? And we talk about this concept all the time about when you're remote, there's no cake in the break room. That's not a thing anymore. It's not cake. But one of the things that SoWork also allows you to do, and I'm sure some of these other platforms do as well, this is just the one that I've tested the most, is you can decorate somebody's office for their birthday or whatever. So I had a birthday.
Yeah, tell us the story. This is great.
So I had a birthday a couple weeks ago, and I walked into the office and went over to my cubicle, and I'm going to show a picture of it here on the screen. But I had balloons and cake and stuff everywhere. And I thought it was great. You know, I mean, I was able to move some stuff around and still get to my desk. And I thought it was so cool. I kept it the whole day. And then we actually had another media team member that their birthday was the following day. So I basically moved everything in my office over to theirs the next day. And even while that was happening, like there was another person who they were on vacation. So we threw like a hammock and a sandcastle and a palm tree in their office because we just thought it was funny. But it was this other way of like showing culture and showing that you care about somebody else without necessarily hopping on a meeting or sending a message or, you know, taking up this extra time. But I saw that and felt so special, and it probably took them 5 minutes to do.
And they also just pulled a prank that backfired on them because you thought it was hysterical.
That is true. And when we were first testing stuff, way before my birthday even happened, I walked into my testing office and had pumpkins everywhere. And apparently I was supposed to be annoyed by this. I thought it was so great. I took a screenshot and showed it as a like LinkedIn lesson of culture in a virtual space. So, oh well.
Which is great if you live in a medieval farming village where swapping gourds is a symbol of affection. Anyway, we will have links to demos and stuff. We will have links to screenshots. Those of you watching on video will see the finished product with the screenshots built in. I am slightly less horrified than I was going in. Dare I say, almost intrigued. But thank you.
Let me know. I'll get on a meeting. I'll walk you around the office.
Thank you for sharing that, Marisa. I really appreciate that.
Am I taking it away?
You're taking it home, lady. I'm
okay. Well,
I'm old. I'm tired.
Fair. Meanwhile, I'm parked in my virtual office. So while we don't talk about virtual offices in this way, we do talk a lot about remote work and how to work remotely well. And we do that with our long distance leadership series, which you can learn more about at kevineikenberry.com/LDLS. And thank you so much for listening to the Long Distance Work Life. For show notes, transcripts, and other resources, make sure to visit longdistanceworklife.com. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. And while you're there, be sure to like and review. This helps us know what you love about our show. And feel free to contact us via email or LinkedIn with the links in our show notes. Let us know you listened to this episode or suggest a topic for Wayne and I to tackle in a future episode. And if you have more things like this for me to test, let me know. Thank you for joining us.
That's guinea pig at the Kevin Eikenberry Group.
Right? I mean, I am nothing if not an eager beaver. But thank you so much, listeners, for joining us. And as Wayne likes to say, don't let the weasels get you down.